Hi everyone, this is Cyber Power of Tigray. We are live in the West Coast. So I have an amazing young Tegaru-Americans that will be discussing about tomorrow's worldwide protest against the genocide on our people, the people of Tigray in northern part of Ethiopia. We're going to go around and do some individual introductions. But before we do that, I want to remind our viewers, these are very talented young people who rose up from day one when our people back home, with no reason other than a selfish dictator, Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia, declaring a genocide on 6.5 million or so Tagaro who have lived in peace, and they've been terrorized for over 65 days. And the discussion tonight is going to be why we are rising up as young Tagaros in the diaspora, and why it's important for the world to know that what's happening in Tigray of northern Ethiopia is not okay, that the world needs to wake up. And to those of you who are listening, to the young Tagaros across the world, this is for you. We want you to know that we stand together as one people, as Tagaro, young and old, men and women, together like a berg. We're gonna build a wall that is gonna say enough is enough to our people. Those who are dividers, who are conquerors, need to get out of our land, the land that is Tigray for Tagaru. We do not invade people. We do not bother people. So leave our people alone. With that, I am gonna hand over to Senai. Please tell us what city you are representing for tomorrow's protest, what you guys are doing briefly, and then we're going to come back to questions and discussions that we're going to do. But take a minute or so to tell us who you are and who you're representing. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike. My name is Senai Christos. Obviously, I'm a Tegaru-American. Like everyone else on the stage and like everyone else watching, we've been called to action since November 3rd. I'm from Chicago originally. I'll be protesting in LA. I live in LA right now. So if you guys are in the LA area, catch me at the LA protest. But yeah, I'm just really happy and excited to see us all come together and, really fight for our people who don't have a voice right now. So yes, I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to jump right into Fidel. I know who you are, obviously, but the audience who perhaps missed the conversation we had with you last Sunday, please tell us who you are and what region you're representing, or what state or city you're representing.
Of course, if you were here for the last one, hi and welcome again. If not, my name's Fidila. I'm 22 years old, from Seattle, Washington, born and raised. So we'll be at the protest tomorrow. We've got a lot of things planned, and I am really excited to have our communities come together again. I have a feeling this is going to be one of our stronger events. So hopefully, if you're in Seattle, please show out. We need as many bodies as we can. So looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, Fidila. Welcome back again. Now we're going to shift to Jerusalem. Please tell us who you are. I know you're representing Las Vegas, but please tell the audience who you are and what you've been up to, and go from there. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Mike. My name is Ursalam Gurmai, and I'm in Las Vegas. We're going to, like many other cities, have our protest tomorrow, followed by a car rally just to attract more attention. And I encourage everybody in Las Vegas and throughout the nation in various cities to come out tomorrow in solidarity. I know Australia just completed theirs and it looked really successful, so I'm happy to join you guys all in this collective movement. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Ruth, we are going to let you do introduction like everyone else, please, and what city you're representing, and we'll go from there.
Hello, my name is Ruth Bata, and I'm representing the Bay Area, California. And we have a protest coming up tomorrow, as we all do for our global protest. And just want to tell everybody, come out and show up. And we stand firm, and we'll fight and for peace and justice for Tigray.
Thank you, Ruth. So we're going to just follow the order. So Sally, we're going to just hand it right off to you, and then followed by, we're going to let Susie just catch on to you. I know you guys are representing like Denver. I've been in touch with you guys, but I want to make sure that you guys each have an opportunity because we got a huge community in Denver. So for those of you who are wondering, why do we have two people in one stage? Because Denver is like really being like a superstar, helping out the West Coast. So for those of you who are not aware of what we're doing, we are united in the West Coast. Even though Denver is slightly, an hour away from us, they are brothers and sisters. We welcome them. So thank you, Susie, and thank you, Sally. Sally, go first, and then Susie next.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sally Gide. Representing Denver, Colorado, by the ways of Seattle, Washington. Just excited to be here. We have our protest tomorrow. This is our fourth protest. But we're really excited because we're joined by our brothers and sisters in solidarity. So look forward to it. Hopefully Denver shows up and shows out like we continue to do tomorrow at 10 a.m. So hope to see everybody there, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susie. And again, like she said, we are from Denver, 10 a.m. tomorrow. We just want our Eritrean brothers and sisters to come out. Anybody that is an ally with us at this time, please come out, come support us. Yeah, excited to be here.
Thank you. Welcome. Martha, I know you've been here before, but for those who might have missed last show that we had you here, please tell us who you are, and we'll go from there.
Hello, hi, my name is Martha. I'm representing Portland, Oregon, and tomorrow, as many others, we're going to be having the nationwide protest in Portland at the Pioneer Courthouse Square at 11 a.m. And we're going to be walking to the governor's office so you can hear us. And we're going to be alongside the Tegaru community and allies as well to say no to this war and for peace for Tigray in the Horn of Africa.
Thank you, Martha. And Lisa, that will be you. And please tell us who you're representing. And we'll be jumping right in up with our. Go ahead and unmute yourself. There we go. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mengistab Araya. I'm representing San Diego. Back when the war initially started, within the first week, we did a protest in San Diego. We were protesting so that this unfortunate event wouldn't lead to a humanitarian crisis. But as you guys know, it's a full-blown humanitarian crisis. And then we did not expect it to escalate to full-blown genocide as well. So, I like how everyone is rallying and trying to stop the momentum and all the mobilizations that Abiy Ahmed is doing. So, like all of us, we're all shocked that it got to this level. And we have to do everything we can to put it to a stop.
Appreciate the perspective, all of you guys. I am honestly like excited and honored. I know it was like last minute notice, trying to get you guys like all jumped in, and for you to be willing to come and share like what we're doing, what we're going to do tomorrow, how we can help our people. This is what gives us all like hope. And that the hope that the message and the hope that we're going to pass on today is that we want to wake up our friends from America, from Canada, from Europe, from all over the world, but also to our brothers and sisters in Eritrea. We want you to wake up. We want you to wake up and watch what the dictator Isaias Afwerki, who has terrorized your people for 30 years, is slaughtering our people in Tigray. We do not hate the Eritrean people, but the government that is there has sent his mercenaries to murder. And I would like to, let's see, somebody here jump in this and help me out. I believe there was like 5 or 6 East South African generals who were just decimated. And I believe he said that somehow when they landed in Tigray and got destroyed, he said coronavirus just killed them all. What happened there? Maybe Senna, you want to start with that, or?
Yeah, so I actually just heard that earlier this morning. I mean, I think it's like a joke. You know what I mean? Like, this whole idea that I'm gonna call them the other side because it's a lot of people, right? There's some like Shabia, there's some like Ethiopian Abiy supporters, but there's this whole idea of like calling us out, Tegaru's out as like fake news, right? Like, no, Eritreans are not in Ethiopia. No, there's no genocide happening. No, it's just a law and order, thing. So for them to come out and say that, some of their generals got killed, right? After they had already just said that they're not even in Tigray, right? And then on top of that, it's like, they're in a war, but they got killed by COVID. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I think, it's important for people to look at this, right? Like, this is what you guys are supporting, right? So when you guys are trying to make a point, like a logical point to us about what's happening in our homeland, right? Like, it's so far from the truth, And so how many times or how many news articles are going to come out saying all this crazy stuff, right? Like, these generals going back on their word. Okay, we're not in Tigray. We are in Tigray. Okay, generals died of COVID. The war started because the TDF or TPLF attacked the Northern Command. Wait, no, Mahara generals are now saying that they were prepared the night before. They had already made preparations, right? So it's like, I think it just kind of goes along with this whole narrative where like, it's just all this misinformation, all this like wonky news coming out. So, I mean, I think it's funny, but at the end of the day, it's also sad, with the background of what's happening to our people, right?
I mean, if it was like a reasonable time for us, like we would have laughed because it's a joke, but apparently COVID-19 only catches like the Eritrean generals. Somehow they just mysteriously all died in the last few days. But Fidel, you want to add anything to that, or do you want us to jump into? Feel free.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is essentially the Ethiopian and Eritrean governments struggling to control the narrative because they know all of this information is going to come out as soon as, it's going to happen eventually once the lines of communication are open again. And all of their lies will obviously be dispelled, and they realize that they have to kind of cover their tracks and make up stories to, make all of the deaths and all of the destruction and all of the genocide that's happening not be on them. And it's crazy because, when you're telling lies, you're going to end up telling on yourself and snitching on yourself. And they're really struggling to control the narrative right now. And we can see right through it because it's their story is just falling apart. Like Sanai said, 1 second it's we're there, 1 second it's we're not, 1 second it was TPLF, and then the next it was no, we knew ahead of time. And it's just a mess. Honestly, I think as a government entity, they would have better control over their story at least. It's kind of sad that they can't even come up with a narrative. I think like a teenager lying to their mom would have a better story coming up than the stuff they're coming up with. It's really sad, honestly. But what's even sadder is, again, the effect that it's having on our people and the fact that the human, the innocent civilians are dealing with the burden of it all. Because ultimately the political people, these men in power aren't going to feel much of a burden on them. This is really affecting the civilians and the children and the 2.5 million children who don't have access to aid right now. And I think on a humanitarian level, I'm ashamed because they're thinking more about themselves and trying to protect themselves instead of protecting human lives. And that just goes to show you what Tigray really means to them. It's nothing to them, because if it meant anything to them, if there was any sense of pride or if they felt any respect for us, they wouldn't be able to do this to us on a human level. But you can see that instead they're more focused on their story and their narrative and trying to protect themselves. And it just disgusts me.
That's a good point. I mean, the whole thing is really sad, obviously, but especially that, like what you just said, they're trying to worry about what's happening, this whole narrative that they're not doing anything wrong, right? When there are, tens of thousands displaced, right? Millions hungry, millions without any power, telecommunications, banking, and that's what they're harping on. right? Like it's just, it's almost like it's not even a real world, right? Like it's not 2021, right?
It's crazy.
And
They've taken us back hundreds of years.
right, and that's, you know, and I want to make sure, you know, I give everybody like a chance to jump in this topic. But Jerusalem, I mean, we have a lot of things to cover, and we want to expose them. We want to. So our job is to speak the truth, the injustice that civilians, young children, which Fidela just mentioned, 2.5 million children in Tigray are in need of humanitarian aid. Jump in, please, and you know, tell us how cruel does a person have to be to attack civilian, peaceful people that are villagers? They have nothing other than a few livestock and a crop season that they've tried to harvest for the remaining of the year until the next season. But now we're here in like most of the area, especially the Eritrean mercenaries. Not only have they stole every piece of item that they can find, but they're burning down anything that they cannot still, you know, take with them to Eritrea. How cruel does the humans have to be? And what, you know, and the fact that the West is doing nothing. Help us out to your perspective to fill in the gap, and for the audience to understand why this is happening and nothing is being done about it.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. So I think in going back, we can kind of tie in about Eritrean involvement into what has been happening now. And I think the West was largely misguided in awarding Abiy Ahmed a Nobel Peace Prize, which many have now kind of mentioned that it was a license to kill. I think in hindsight, that what they thought was going to be a gamble for peace, considering like decades of turmoil between the two countries, was really a military alliance with the sole aim of a common enemy. And we know historically that Tegarus have been subjugated throughout Ethiopian history, at least specifically in the last 100 years, through aerial bombardment, indiscriminate shelling, and things like that. And what we're kind of saying now is that Abiy is kind of utilizing a playbook set up by Mengistu Haile Mariam and even Haile Selassie used with how to deal with people who voice their opinions, openly object to subjugation. And in terms of, you're kind of asking like what kind of a person would do this, we're not dealing with people at this point. They do not, you know, see our humanization. These are people who have completely removed themselves from like the human aspects and see innocent Tegarus as military targets. And those are not rational people. And so what we're seeing is, and we look at the numbers, 2.5 million, just specifically children in need of humanitarian aid. 2.2 million upwards displaced. We're seeing, you mentioned earlier about it being harvest season. What we're seeing is the federal government is committing a state-sponsored genocide and is essentially trying to economically cripple, and which they have before by blocking aid, road, things like that. In the midst of a locust invasion, they're also, you know, refuse to help spray and deal with that in Tigray. So essentially what they're trying to do is destroy the whole region. And there's a reason why our campaign slogans have been Stop War on Tigray and not just like TPLF, because essentially the whole region and our people are at risk. And we're seeing an ethnic cleansing, a genocide, and it is state sponsored. And going back to the mention of, you know, the COVID, Eritrea has kind of boasted that it's had low amount of cases. I think everyone knows it's not easy access to go in or out. They have less than 2,000 reported cases. I think they reported less than 10 deaths total as a result of COVID. And all of a sudden in this last week, when, you know, Abiy appointed generals have come in and or interim leads have come in to say that, you know, and accidentally slipped about Ukraine involvement, then they have to kind of make a parallel reasoning behind why that is the case. And I think the West is, the lack of response, a lot of it is just bureaucracy. I think they know that Ethiopia is an important country in the Horn of Africa, especially with this peacekeeping missions. But essentially choosing to ignore this is kind of allowing genocide to continue. And that's something that can't happen. And I think us collectively need to make sure that we keep applying that pressure, because our voices do matter. And we do see like that we can hold the federal government accountable. Al-Najashi was destroyed, and that was reported about like 2 weeks ago, and was only until we had video clips and images come out and we were very vocal online that the government said that they were going to rebuild. And this is just one building. We see that they're destroying lots of civilian infrastructure, and we won't know the extent until telecommunications is opened up, which could be, you know, not in a long time, but things are being revealed, and we just have to be diligent. And I think in addition to raising our voice, we also have to be record keepers, because the International Criminal Court doesn't have a deadline into crimes against humanity, and we have to hold the federal government accountable.
Thank you. I would want to like make just like a slight feedback on that. There's no federal government in Ethiopia. We have a dictator who's the proclaimed leader of Ethiopia, because the leadership in Ethiopia, obviously, his leadership expire in October. So as of, believe October 5th, somebody has to correct me on the date, but there was an officially elected prime minister to lead for Ethiopia. So obviously what we have is dictator who looks up to Eritrean dictator. Ruth, so we're talking the genocide, which is actually what united us here tonight to talk about what's happening at home. Help us to fill in the gap, what we're doing as young Tegarus, what particular in the Bay Area that you guys doing tomorrow, what you're looking forward, and the purpose behind it. What we're talking about is to expose what's happening, the humanitarian crisis that's occurring in Tigray, and that's been going on for over 65 days. And we need immediate action, obviously. So the vocal point of tonight's discussion and tomorrow's protest is to bring awareness, because we're sick and tired of it. Please share with us, to the audience, basically the unity in the West Coast. What does that tell us to the rest of the world, who is also going to be uplifting everybody tomorrow and saying enough is enough? Genocide on Tigray needs to end now.
Definitely. It is. It's quite hard. I think personally, we all have been affected by this, and it's been quite really difficult for the past 65 days to endure and keep fighting and not knowing whether our families or just even innocent lives, if they're alive or dead. And I think it's just as in a humanity level, I think we all should step back and as humans kind of reflect and reevaluate our morals. And that's one of the things that I've seen, is that we do need to reflect a lot about how history and we all come from different backgrounds, from different religion, and probably ethnic groups and mixed ethnic groups. And at the end of the day, I think it's important that we make sure to educate ourselves about what is happening, because your shallow understanding of someone's pain or experience can really inflict pain on others. So I think it's important that during this protest, it's a peaceful protest that we're doing, and literally it's just as human beings we're trying to voice to stop the war, because at the end of the day, there's two guarantees in a war, that is carnage and war crimes at the end of the day. And we believe that if you objectively just take yourself out and don't take to face value even things that are coming out from Ethiopia in the news itself, just try to assess the media, the independent medias even. And I think after assessing, and you can see what is happening, and you can make that judgment for yourself and see really the suffering of the people. And it's quite hard, and this is a collective punishment. And I believe that we should all be aware that we need to specifically really, really push and pressure for immediate humanitarian aid, especially, and as well as to get in independent investigators in there, because it's a dire situation right now. And I believe that this genocide, if you, look back in history, Rwanda, Holocaust, and you can learn how these kind of government actually came into power and how they construct themselves. And I think it's important that we all, try to learn and educate ourselves and how, genocides lead up to, right now we're on level 9 on genocide watch right now. And many of you guys, other people might not have known, but Ethiopia's on a watch on the 9th level, and there's 10 levels. And so I think that is very alarming, and we're in a very dangerous stage. We're on extermination stage. And I think it's important through our protests right now that we voice to stop the war on Tigray, and as well as that there's a Tigray genocide. We need awareness, and we need to push no matter what to our representatives and who represents us in this country and all around the world to make sure to pressure for ceasefire, and as well as to really get independent investigators in there in this crime against humanity that Tigray is facing right now.
And I think, you touch bases like in a lot of area, and I'd like to stay on the topic of, there's a religiously Tigray is being, peaceful region or peaceful state, as it is not a country yet. So as one of the 10 states in Ethiopia, Muslims and Christians and other faith believers have lived in peace for, I don't want to lecture the history to people here, but bottom line is that even in this audience, we have diversity. We have also people of representing, the various faith that we're talking about. But yet, this guy has no faith. He attacked mosque. He attacks church. He kills people sheltering inside a church. He has, clearly the genocide has to stop. But we've been saying this for 65 days. And I'm saying, enough is enough. We need an action now. Sally, I'm going to give you the chance to please, jump into that religiously, how we have lived side by side, but now they're building this hate to divide us. They're building this, basically, in Tigray, there's not a multi-ethnic per se, but they're trying to say, oh, in this area, you got to treat them this way. In this area, you got to do this way. But, you guys remember at the beginning that we had the Amhara militia and the Fana came into Makadra and various area, and they literally butchered massively innocent civilians. And then they try to cover up, and they try to play the Amharas, trying to play victim. So I'm just wondering, where in the hell are the Amhara peace lovers that, actually for the sake of humanity? And I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, this is not all the Amhara's fault. I'm blatantly saying the Amharas, because the Amharas that have a good heart going to come later when it's too late, trying to say, oh, we did not know it was this bad, because they know how to talk, but they don't back the talk. So I'm sick and tired of the excuses. So you guys in Denver, I hate to say it, but Abiy Ahmed's wife lives in Denver. His kids live in Denver. They attend churches in Denver. If they believe in God, if they believe in Allah, whatever they believe in, what's going on?
As far as playing religion into it, I honestly think it's like what was said earlier, it's the narrative that they're trying to push. And I feel like right now they're also trying to push, it's like a psychological warfare right now. They're trying to mess with people's heads, push the wrong information out there. But Tegarus, we're not fooled. We know exactly what's going on. As far as going in and killing people and then blaming Tegarus and Amhara genocide, whatever they're trying to say, it's been going on for years. Every time something horrible happens in Ethiopia, who do they blame? They blame Tegaru. They blame TPLF. It's a part of history. We're a part of that history. Everything negative that goes on in Ethiopia, but do we get credit for building up our country? Do we get love from those people? No, absolutely not. But it's fine. Like Tegaru's, if anything, this whole thing has ignited us. That fuel, that fire in us. That fire is burning right now. And as the youth, we got to step in and be that backbone for our people, for our families, because they've been the backbone to Ethiopia for many years, and the time is up. And we're here, like we're standing on our 2 feet, and we're standing on side by side with each other. Look at the unity in us right now. You know, like this is our time. This is the revolution.
Amen. Amen. Susie, I'm going to have you jump right on it, man. I'm loving it. Thank you. Thank you, Sally.
And to kind of piggyback off of Sally, one thing I've learned is that Tegarus have Tegarus. That's it. No one's going to be on our side. Also, it's very important, like she said, for the youth, the diaspora, our family back home doesn't have anybody else but us. They're going to look to us to step in, to be the voice for them because they're voiceless right now. And like you said before, it's honestly a different type of evil that I've never experienced this in my life. It's bringing a lot of us to just, again, one thing too is, you know, don't make this make you hateful, just make it help you be stronger. And really, like someone said before, do the education on your country, know the Tigrais background, know how strong Tegarus have a history to be, you know,
and continue to be.
Yeah. So I think, you know, like I said, it's a different type of evil, silencing people and then pointing the finger and saying, actually, no, it was TPLF that, you know, cut off communication. It's like our people are suffering. And like Sally said, we're coming together and we're going to fight for our people. It's burning inside. We're fueled up inside. So, yeah.
And we're using our energy to rise up together as we're doing it right now. Martha, I'm going to have you jump in. Obviously, the amazing work that all of us are doing, obviously, for tomorrow's preparation. I know that you have been here before last Monday when you and Fidel gave like an amazing speech in Portland, Oregon. We're going to do it again tomorrow, obviously, you know, in various cities representing the West Coast and the Western states. Make sure those of you in Colorado don't think I'm not, you know, including you with us because we got 2 amazing young ladies representing like Denver, Colorado. So I'm really honored to have all of you guys. I feel like so proud to have my Tegaris just like, you know, with me, like to talk. I'm just like, I have so many things to say, but I'm going to shut my mouth so I can give Martha a chance to just like jump in, please.
So, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. What I was gonna say was, there's a lot of denial going on right now about what's going on in Tigray, and it's really sickening to see that people are still in denial of the involvement of other governments, including the UAE and Eritrea. I feel like it's really sickening to see within the diaspora. I've been seeing a lot of silence or people just spreading propaganda. And it's really sad. It's really disheartening to see that when us Tagaros say no to war, stop the war, we want to end to this humanitarian crisis, this telecommunication blockout, we are called names and things like that, when all we want to do is just advocate for our people to say no to war. Another thing that I wanted to say is when it comes to the diaspora, I'm so proud to be Tegaru. I'm so proud of the Tegaru youth, the adults, and everybody because our unity is just beautiful. We get lots of hate, but we just shun them out. We don't need hate. We are definitely very driven people. I feel like it's really like in us, like our fire and everything. It's really beautiful to see our unity in the UK, in the US, and Australia, everywhere around the world, just seeing the solidarity and all of us just standing alongside our people to fight and say no to war, and emailing our representatives and constantly tweeting, and just like the Twitter campaign that took place where we got over 252 tweets. It just makes me really proud to see we're about that action, like period. Like we're always, we don't just say things, but we take action, and it's just really beautiful to see.
You're killing it, Martha. When you give him that number, he's having a heart attack right now. I hope, around him, nobody knows how to give CPR too. Sorry, that was my little bit mocking of him, but
yeah, definitely. It's a threat, to be honest. When they see us unified, it's just like, I see there's also like a lot of like jealousy too. When people are spreading hate on us, to me, I see jealousy because they don't got unity like us. So
That's right. And I'm gonna, I want us to come back to that topic, but I want to give Mengstat a chance to the will of the Tegaru abroad and at home is making Abiy Ahmed and Isaias Afwerki shit in their pants. Excuse my little bit derogatory here, but I do not use profanity, but it's for real. They're scaring the crap out of them. They know when he lost his generals, he says COVID. No, it ain't COVID. You know what? It's Jigana with the Tigray. So that's Tigrinya. So I got to say it just the way, like, I get to say what, straight up. But Eritreans still are massacring our people. They sent over 500,000 troops to Tigray, combined between the Shabia, which is the Eritrean mercenaries, the Somalis, the Ethiopian Federal Army that betrayed the people of Tigray, the Amhara militia, and the various ethnics within the federal system in Ethiopia. They came to Tigray with over 500,000, and our people within the Tigray military, in some cases, were outnumbered 1 to over 200. In some cases, 1 to 2 fighters were fighting 500 to 600 troops. And you know what? When so many of the generals are actually taken out, the majority of the Amhara and the federal troops are decimated. Abiy Ahmed is training young people who have no clue what's going on and sending them right into the front lines to die. And these mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, they have no idea what's happening to them in Tigray because all the media is controlled under Abiy Ahmed. And at the moment, these last 10 to 12 days, the worst nightmare of civilians' death and massacre actually has shifted to the Eritrean mercenaries. I cannot emphasize enough. Help us, the strength of our unity, but the reality on the ground when the military takes a heavy loss, it takes it out on innocent civilians that have nothing to do with this war. Help us to understand why a country like Ethiopia, that Tegaru has built infrastructure that's an amazingly grew, exceeded like China's economy, and it was becoming the regional power economically, militarily, that was built by our people, by Tegaru. They turn around. Not only did they start biting the hand that fed them, but they invited foreign invaders, foreign government to get involved in domestic affairs. Why is the world dancing around this, and why isn't these people held accountable and with genocide? Not only that, but this is treason committed in a government being a treasonist. We saw what happened in Washington, D.C. yesterday. 13 days left for Biden to be inaugurated for an end. Congress is talking impeaching like Donald Trump, except he's got like less than 2 weeks. But the insane act that they did yesterday, we have 65 people in jail already because of that action. And Tegaru built that sort of system in Ethiopia for people to be held accountable under the rule of law. For those of you who are going to argue about that, not my audience, of course, but the idiots out there, I want you to just give them a piece of their mind, please. We might be having a little audio technicality, but Mengstab, if you can hear us, that was for you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I would continue off of what Martha was saying. Our unity is something amazing to look at. As you can see, the numbers in Ethiopia, we are roughly 8 to 10% in population, but the the war that we're fighting out here on this battlefield as diaspora Tegarus and making the war and the genocide a international topic and getting all these international bodies to wake up and speak on the matters and condemn the Ethiopian regime is an amazing task. Again, the unity in the diaspora Tegarus uh, to start donations to embark on this Twitter war campaign. Just the other day, we amounted what was like 300,000 tweets and mentions of Tigray genocide. Um, and tomorrow we have this, this distinct protest across all the cities in America. Most cities are embarking on their second and third protests already. So the strength in numbers, and we're doing this without the support of fellow Ethiopians. Just before this war, we were united. We were one Ethiopia. That's the way Tegaru has seen it. But as you can see, when we were targeted and when this war was brought to our border, um, we don't have fellow Ethiopians standing with us here. I haven't had a single Ethiopian come up to me and give their condolences. So to be able to do this as the 8 to 10% population, and for our voices to be stronger than the other 90 million Ethiopians within Ethiopia and outside. It's just amazing. Um, uh, I really want to touch up on how we got here. Um, Abiy Ahmed is supposed to be a prime minister, but I really am not seeing that. The first uh, how we got here was what he called a law operation. But since when does a law operation lead to 60,000 refugees escaping a region that is far from the capital? I mean, the TPLF party that he was after is in southern Tigray, but the fighting and the massacre was in western Tigray, and that's where the majority of refugees fled to neighboring Sudan. So how it doesn't add up. So from the get-go, Abiy Ahmed has just been lying to the international community and covering up what was a 2-year plan to invade Tigray and invade its sovereignty. And the lies just keep on going. He claimed that 0 civilian casualties were recorded while bombing cities, while air bombing cities. I don't know when, I don't know where or when bombing cities was a precision technique. I mean, it just leads to destruction, and to claim 0 casualties is just preposterous, Um, and once the international world started catching up, European Union made the first big leap in denying 90 million pounds of aid to the Ethiopian regime. So, and following that, a lot of international renowned politicians have made bold statements in condemning the Ethiopian regime and Abiy Ahmed. And we're very appreciative of that. Even the Secretary Pompeo of the U.S. Um, we all know he initially endorsed the war, or the operation, the law and operation, along with Trump, because they saw Abiy as a reformer, as a Western politician, and as the massacres and the killings amounted, Secretary Pompeo was forced to retract his support for Abiy Ahmed, and he started condemning the regime as well. So overall, yes, we should be happy with our work in making this an international agenda. But in my opinion, I think we're still the world is has not stepped in and having the power to halt these things, has not done these things yet. And we know the UN and other aid agencies are waiting on the outside to come in and deliver urgent relief to 2.5 million women and children that are needed in the region. And Abiy Ahmed, who is supposed to be a prime minister, is doing just monstrous things. Like how can someone deny aid to civilians, to the innocent? And it's not a law operation. It's weaponizing hunger, and only because Tigray exercised its sovereignty by voting, and it's just it just doesn't make sense. And if you want to strip the history, the politics, since when does a law operation or president engage in all these things? There's just a long list of things that Abiy Ahmed has managed to put on his resume in 2 years, and I just don't know how long the international community, with the powers that they have to step in and provide, at the very least, forced entry for, delivering the necessary aid, but also.
Well, let me jump in there. Sorry, let me jump in there because I want to make sure that we have a large audience. So I apologize, I'm cutting you off, but I think the world cannot enter to Tigray right now because there's the war is still ongoing, obviously, but the war, like the Tigray leadership decided to not intervene within the cities to avoid casualties. So I want to clarify a little bit there. So what we are demanding is a UN to have a mandate resolution to send an independent investigators to investigate the atrocity, but also to have humanitarian aid. The U.S. is blocking, as we speak, a resolution to not move forward, in the United Nations. So I just want to clarify the crisis right now we're dealing with. The U.S. is directly the Trump administration. That clearly you mentioned about the situation that have taken place, is that the U.S. directly is interfering with the United Nations resolution as we speak. So the question is,
there are grounds within the UN articles that allow forced entry and mobilization of troops, and that's when war crimes and atrocities are witnessed. So I don't know the direct references to those articles, but I've seen it somewhere where if war crimes and massacres are witnessed, then the UN is within its jurisdiction to enter. So obviously through Ethiopia, I don't see, through the south, I don't see a point of entry, but Sudan being a sovereign nation and sharing its borders on 3 different regions in Ethiopia, I think should definitely explore the idea of entering.
I think that's is he frozen?
I think he's frozen for a sec, so I'm gonna let somebody jump in real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's
so
like
I
a big
think-
issue.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like, in terms of other countries kind of getting involved, or even like the UN or other organizations, I think it's unfortunate if we look back at previous humanitarian crises or genocides or anything like that. Unfortunately, those organizations come in after, right? And I mean, it could be a lot of reasons why that happens. And one reason is because first, you know, if they put themselves out there, say Sudan or America or whatever, and they have to deal with Abiy or whoever's in power at that time, then that creates an issue. So if they need something from Abiy in the future, especially as it relates to that region of the Horn of Africa, then it's like, okay, they kind of alienated Abiy, right? Or they alienated Isaias. Well, Isaias has already been alienated, but and so they're trying to, you know, stop for the good of their own future foreign policy with Ethiopia. And I mean, it goes with the same thing with UN. I mean, I know they're supposed to be a humanitarian organization, but at the end of the day, a lot of things they do are based on politics, right?
So,
and I think
so let me pause
unfortunate.
you there for a sec. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm reading the chat room. So somebody just flat out say that there's no genocide in Tigray. I'm like, my blood is boiling.
I want to speak to that.
Go ahead, please do.
It's very frustrating when this narrative comes out, because it's the sorry, I'm getting very emotional because it frustrates me on a personal level, because it's like, if there's no genocide, who killed my cousin? Who did these pictures of the bombings and the shellings and the destruction and the looting? Where did it come from? Is it fabricated? Like, we can fabricate our stories, maybe, like we can see Abiy Ahmed is doing, but you can't fabricate pictures. The proof is in the pudding. And this is like beyond ignorance at this point. You sound stupid. I'm sorry, but I'm not even sorry about it. You just sound stupid at this point. You're making a fool of yourself. And you're like, your thoughts are one thing, but to be on the internet and saying things that are obviously contradicted by facts are irrefutable. This isn't a matter of opinion. People are dying. People are being shelled. The appointed leader of Mekelle has outright come out and said that there are 4.5 million people who are in need of emergency aid. And it's like 2.3 million of them are children, 2.2 internally displaced, 56,000 plus refugees in Sudan. Do you think these people are going for fun? It's not a vacation for them. This is real. So if you're going to sit there and be on the internet and say things vocally, just really think about what you're saying, because it frustrates me. And these are people that you're talking about. These are humans. This is my family. This is all of our families. It's our community. And it's the people you are claiming to be your people. If Tigrayans are Ethiopians, if that's the claim you're going to make, why did Ethiopia let Eritrea into our city to loot and bomb and kill us? If we're your people, then why is that the case? And if you're going to sit there and behind the shame of ignorance, if that's not happening, your government has admitted to it at this point. So what's going on here? You have to pick. You either have to side with the narrative that your government has outrightly admitted to, or you just have to.
I think we're seeing, like Jerusalem pointed out, we're seeing a repeat of the Derg regime. If you look at history, you have three straight regimes that have bombed its own people. Has bombed Tigray. If you start with Haile Selassie, he used the British to bomb the Wayana rebellion in Mekelle, and he bombed elementary schools. And then you go on to Derg. Derg bombed Tigray many times. They actually bombed housing at an opportune time, knowing that on this specific day that the community would gather and at a farmer's market, and roughly around 40,000 Tegaros died at one instance. And then we're seeing here third regime in a row where the UAE drones are attacking cities. So I think Tegaros by this point have lost faith in Ethiopians to stand up for us. So like we stated earlier, there aren't any Ethiopians protesting with us, standing with us, and Tegaros, we've managed to do this on our own to get the international media, international governments and bodies, the European Union, the UK, to make this an agenda and to intervene. Of course, intervening, crossing into sovereign borders is not very easy. And I do believe his day in court will come, but right now we're just focusing on providing immediate relief to those that are experiencing this famine, and for Abiy Ahmed to be denying those organizations waiting on the outside to deliver that aid is genocide. It's
we'll never get that aid, because Abiy Ahmed has clearly just blocked off
Yeah.
like all communication. He's denying that the Eritreans are there because he's trying
Yeah,
to paint this image
we have to keep
that nothing is going on in Tigray.
we have to keep our energy to non-Ethiopians, non-Habeshas. That's who we're delivering our message to. I don't know if you guys seen it, but the Black Lives Matter movement, came out with a statement in support. But yet we don't have any Ethiopian communities, any strong Eritrean communities that have spoken for us. So I
Except,
think
I don't think
faith is
there's
lost.
Ethiopia anymore, though. You got to remember, Ethiopia is decimated already right now. So sadly, I hate to say it, but you got crisis in every corner of the country right now, and that's as a result of a dictator. But you mentioned about the Derg era. And I'm not old enough to remember, like, everything obviously would have occurred, but from my childhood, when I thought of this, like, when Bush was elected, we thought he was bad, and then we see Trump. You're just like, holy crap. Well, okay. So my point here is that, Mengistu, yes, he terrorized people, but the difference here is Mengistu did not bring foreign invaders. Mengistu did not allow neighboring countries to create atrocity, division, and hate. What Eritrea is doing right now is killing anybody and everybody they come in contact with. They build in hate because Eritrean leaders, not the people, leaders wanted to make sure that Tegaru build hate towards Eritrea so that we will never live in peace, which they're wrong. So I want to emphasize and clarify that yes, we had atrocity and genocide under Mengistu, and in 1991, when Mengistu was about to be captured, the U.S. Embassy in Addis Ababa actually airlifted him in a helicopter to Zimbabwe. And right now, the drone that United Arab Emirates, which is the Emirates that we're talking about, AAU, is using, is sold by the United States of America. So America sold drones to the Emirates, and America was saying the Tigray people and the Tigray government should refrain itself from defending itself, while they knew they had satellite images, telecommunication interceptions with Eritrea, involved and invading Tigray. So to me, I would like us to, everybody have a shorter, a chance to talk, because we got a large audience. I want to keep that in mind, is that I want Eritrea to get the hell out of Tigray right now. Anybody help me out here? Why in the hell is Eritrea still in Tigray 65 days later?
So I think it's all a part of Isaias's quote unquote revenge. He's been waiting for this moment. When that whole unity thing happened, that was amazing. Like, people were able to reconnect with their families. From the outside looking in, that's what it looked like. But there was motives behind it, right? He knew exactly what he was doing. He's playing puppet. He's a puppet master. And Abiy he's right there, like this perfect opportunity called, and that's what it is. But I just want to get back to the whole trolling thing. We can't give those people our energy. Right. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to take us off the track that we're on right now.
Absolutely.
As far as family members being killed, this is not fake news. This is what's happening. People are losing family members. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on being there for our brothers and sisters who are grieving right now. Let's focus on, when this is all over, hopefully one day very soon, that we're there and we're strong for our people. Let's get back to that. Let's mobilize. Let's protest. Let's tweet. All that. Let's not give these people our energy. They're trying to take us off our track. They're trying to steer us the wrong way. They're trying to teach us to be angry instead of being strong and level-headed and ready to take on whatever we have to take on, right now and in the future. So these trolls, they're always going to be there. We'll always have haters. Mm-hmm. We're Tegaru. It comes with the territory. This is not nothing new.
And I think
it's really a shame.
I'm curious now. Go ahead.
I was going to say, going off what Sally said, if you look at the actual, definition of what genocide is. It's the deliberate killing of people of a particular nation or ethnicity with the intention of destroying them. So people that are the genocide deniers are either don't know the definition, or they care more about the image of Ethiopia than the sanctity of Ethiopia. And if we look at, what Genocide Watch, I know they said we're on stage 9 of extermination now. And if we look at what the kind of steps of genocide are, just kind of what we've seen in history against the Jews, against what also happened in Rwanda, we see dehumanization. We know that since Abiy Ahmed has come into power, he's consistently referred to Tegarus as daytime hyenas, so that way people don't feel anything when innocent civilians are being killed. And then you see organization. There's a reason you asked why is Eritrea here? It's because with using Eritreans and what also informal Amhara militias and the Fano group, the government wants to kind of have a backup plan in terms of to deny accountability when war crimes, which they anticipated most likely to happen, so they can say it was not, state sponsored, which we know is not the truth. We then see persecution, and this kind of goes into the dehumanization. And you see him say that 60, I think it was around 40,000 or around 30,000 refugees at the time when he made that state address, and saying there was no women and children, and basically alluding that everybody that's a refugee is a member of TPLF or something like that. And what you see as a response now in every subsequent refugee videos is like, you'll see a woman, you'll see a child, and you'll see a complete dehumanization of them. You'll see them refer to them as like just TPLF, these are the mass murderers, just completely detached. And then obviously there's the extermination, which we see in the thousands, most likely tens of thousands now. We won't really know, unfortunately. And I'm sorry, Fadila, for the loss that you've suffered. Realistically, all of us have someone we're going to find out eventually who's either lost, displaced, or is now a refugee. And then, the last stage of genocide is a denial. So anytime you basically see someone who's denying a genocide, is basically confirming that it is in existence. So I think it's really not worth our attention. And I know that you guys mentioned before about why aren't we getting the support of other Ethiopians. I personally have seen a lot of Oromo supporters before, like the war on Tigray. We saw like a war was launched on Oromia with mass arrests of opposition members, extrajudicial killings, and large crimes committed against them. And I think you don't even have to be, in favor or support of TPLF to understand what's happening is a genocide, and even opposition members against TPLF are recognizing that and acknowledging that, even with the new interim administration. So I think it's best to kind of focus on our efforts on our people and our allies, and the people that have seen 65 days of atrocities are not going to be, swayed with just this one conversation. They're in their denial stage, and they'll probably remain there.
I like the perspective of keeping it positiveness, which I have actually. I want Fidel to have Fidel. I want you to have an opportunity to actually keep it in a good note. And all these protests that we're going to have around the world, I know how powerful and strong of a Muslim woman you are. So I want the Muslim minorities from our community around the world and from Tigray. I want them to, feel proud of the strength and the work that they've been doing with us. And when we do our religious leaders' speeches and whatnot in our communities across the world, when we do protesting tomorrow, I think you had a message that you want to remind. So I don't want to steal the whole topic, but please share with the audience. I'm going to come back to you, Martha. I know, Ruth, it's been a second since you haven't spoken. Susie, I haven't forgotten about you. So I'm going to try to balance out the time here, but if we could keep in mind, like we have a large audience, so like trying to keep like our discussion a little shorter, then I apologize. I want to make sure that we all have a chance to say something.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be quick with it. I am very proud of our community, especially the way that Muslims and Christians have come together. You know, nobody is ignorant to the tension going on back home. You know, before the war, there was obviously issues in terms of like, you know, building a masjid and Aqsam and all of that. But I think as a community, we're all aware that, you know, it doesn't really matter what's going on in terms of like, there has to be people in Aqsam for there to be a debate later on. So we've put all of our, you know, differences to the side and we've come together in a way. And I'm so proud of us. And I think that the biggest takeaway here as we're having our protest is, you know, as Muslims, we're obviously a minority within Tigray. So to the leaders who are organizing the events, you know, I know that we have kashis coming up to speak, which is great to have our priests. If you don't, please try to have our religious leaders involved, but to also have a Muslim representative to speak on behalf of the Muslim community, just because it's, you know, it's very important that the representation is there. So, you know, I know it's very short notice. We're coming up on 12 hours before our protest, but if you don't have one yet, try to reach out to people and see if you can get somebody there to speak on their behalf, just because, like I said, the representation is important.
Thank you. Thank you. Ruth, I'm going to let you hop in real quick because I know you've been patiently waiting.
Oh, no problem. And it's a great discussion. And this is why, you know, I love being Tegaru-Americans. And it's just a discussion that we're having. It's very important that we have these kind of dialogues as well in our communities. And it just shows me the mindset, the psyche of a Tigray. And a lot of times when I was seeing it unfolding, and most of us, like, you know, some of us grew up most of our lives here, and some of us just gotten like into like understanding what is going on. There's so much new information, and we're just kind of trying to sort through and really see, like, you know, objectively in what is going on. And it's just truly, at the end of the day, you just have to be human to truly recognize what is happening and stop, like, you know, turning a blind eye. Because at the end of the day, you might be in our shoes again, and at that time, you don't want to feel the same way of ignorance we're feeling, and the hatred and the trolls. You know, no matter what, like, at the end of the day, we're not gonna back down. We'll fight. You know, we'll fight till the end, and we have shown it for thousands of years, and we'll do it again. You know, and that's a fact for anybody just out there. You know, and at the end of the day, I think it's just like it's important for people as well as like there's different layers in this war, and me. Like, I was just trying to understand and looked at my sources and make sure, like, you know, I was double checking to be accountable. So that's one thing I saw within our Tegaru community is like, you know, trying to make sure like, hey, where'd you get that information? Like, you know, where is our sources? So I just even see it how, like, you know, truly the honesty in our community. And it's just like the fact that we want the truth. We'll fight for the truth, you know, and we'll revolt against any subjugation and marginalization. And we've seen that. And that was first Wayana, second Wayana, and now you're leading a third Wayana to come up. And so, and that is, I want to emphasize, and for people really like to educate themselves with the different layers of wars and identify the actors who are involved in this. And identify what is their interest really. Like, you know, you can have like different opinion what their interest could be, and really just like look at it and then try to make sense, like at the end, like, you know, what is going on, and like why is Sudan in here, and then Egypt in solidarity as well, supporting Sudan with the conflict and border that is going on in Amhara, and then Eritrea. I think it's most people I understand is, as I talk to other people that I knew before, is like most people don't understand Eritrea. And what I'm saying is there are like actually innocent Eritreans who suffer, and you can see the refugees around the world, but there's also, you know, Isaias and his supporters. People have to understand the history of it and the parallel that's happening. And the playbook is so similar that if you go back in the 90s, what Isaias Afwerki did to Eritrea as well, that time, we're having the same thing happening in Ethiopia. And I think it's just you have to assess. Most of us, Tigray, we understand because it's a threat. Like Isaias Afwerki will go up there and he says, you know, Badim Kagawraya, like we'll make it Badim. It's and like he say I'm sorry, I'm using Tigrinya, but he literally says these words, but most obviously Ethiopians might not understand, like, you know, because it's in Tigrinya, but he literally talks about, like, you know, destroying like us. And it's just like you have to understand who you're dealing with, and when you're dealing with this Hitler level of, like, you know, mindset. And right now what we're seeing is something Tigray haven't even seen in history. It's like really double the amount of, like, you know, what you can possibly get, the evilness. And I think it's important for people to like just take yourself back and just sit and assess and evaluate, please, because it's our family, and, like, you know, stop invalidating our experiences. And it is hurtful, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to, answer to a higher power of what you're doing at the end of the day, no matter what. And so I just want people to keep in that mind, and we'll fight till the end. I say it.
For sure, for sure. And I think little do they know that, their 500,000 plus like army and machine tanks and fighter jets and drones did do the job. They haven't still captured a single leader from Tigray, but they've been after civilians. They've been after any retired military personnel from ethnic-based Tegaru. So Martha, I want you to jump in. Ethnic cleansing continues in Tigray. We're doing everything we can to fight. Obviously, we still got work ahead of us. To the young generation who's watching this, history is repeating again in the worst manner that we can ever imagine. In the 19th century, Hitler killed between 5 to 6 million Jews. And in the 21st century, we have Isaias Afwerki dancing with Abiy Ahmed and committing genocide in Tigray. So I think Sally mentioned earlier, and Sally said it as well, that we have to keep it positive. We have to focus on what we need to do to help our people. And I appreciate both of you, like actually that advice, because I tend to get emotional. So I was trying to, kind of like wild you guys up, but I'm going to gear myself to the positivity, even though I'm still going to call out in the Amhara later. Tomorrow, when we go out, what's our message, Martha?
Our message is for an end to this war, for the war to stop and the genocide to stop in Tigray. We are calling on the U.S. and the UN to immediately intervene because they have the power to intervene. And as Ruth was saying, and I think others in here too, about learning about our history, and not even just our history, but like the world's history, right? Like what happened in Rwanda, and see how that unfolded, because that genocide that took place in Rwanda seems to be taking place in Tigray as well. Also about like the Holocaust and things like that. I feel like knowing our history and knowing about other people's history and people who were affected by genocide in the past, just learning more about that. Also about learning about Tigray's history as well, and about war that took place in Tigray, because Haile Selassie, he bombed Tigray, and the UK Air Forces helped him. And Mengistu Haile Mariam, the Derg regime, they bombed Tigray. And now Abiy Ahmed and Isaias Afwerki, with the help of the UAE drones, are bombing Tigray. So I feel like knowing the history and knowing that this is not the first time Tigray has been bombarded, it really teaches us something, so we kind of know a little bit more. And I feel like this isn't new. It's really, really scary that like history is really repeating itself. And I feel like being knowledgeable of things that took place in the past can really help us kind of have an idea of what this is, and have an idea that there really are evil dictators and evil people who will just do anything in their power to destroy and kill and murder people. And also about history and things like that too. Haile Selassie, he didn't let any aid go into Tigray. So when there was a famine that took place in the past, he didn't allow aid. So did Mengistu Haile Mariam. They didn't allow aid into Tigray. So this isn't something new. Humanitarian aid has been blocked into Tigray in the past, and it's happening now. And the people of Tigray are starving to death, and it's just scary, because not only are they're being bombed by all sides, but they're literally starving to death, and they're dealing with a man-made famine, and it's just really scary. And that's what it is.
So thank you. Susie, I want you to jump in. Obviously, Martha say we have seen it, history repeat over and over and over, and this is not the first time. But I want this to be the last time. I want us to make sure this is the last time, that it will never happen again. So for Tegaru, we're going to use our energy positively. So one, since Sally and Yersalim had the ability to shift our mind to positivity, help us out to stay on that path, to be positive. Tell the young people that are fired up for tomorrow's protest worldwide, but also, would you guys invite Abiy Ahmed's wife in Denver, Colorado tomorrow to join us, to join you guys, to join the world? Because you know what? Tegaru, we don't retaliate. Tegaru, we don't hurt people. We embrace people, but we don't forget the history, what Martha just went through and described. So I would beg to differ with people who think Tegarus are bad people, because we're not. We're loving people. So number one, I would like you to pass on the message to the young Tigray and Tigray, meaning like the young girls and boys that are in the diaspora, even back home, that are seeing this atrocity. But honestly, have that church that she attends in Denver, Colorado, be the faith that they're practicing. Use it on the ground to help pray for humanity to stop the genocide in Ethiopia. That would be the best thing she can do.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So it's very easy to get emotional. You know, we have no communication with our family. So when we have someone here denying that it's going on, we're getting thrown out of whack mentally, because we're like, excuse me, you know what I mean? Like, so now you become the enemy. Now you become the person that we want to fight with, because we can't go back home and fight for our people. So that right there becomes another battle for us. So like Sally said, it's so important to stay positive. I know it's really easy to get focused on the people that are not speaking up, the people that have been silent, your friends that haven't been asking you if you're okay. And it's like I said, it's natural to get emotional. It's okay to get emotional. But when we turn around and we use that towards negativity, like it gets like ugly, you know what I mean? And then we became hateful and we become something that we're not. Like you said, Tegaru people were very loving. Even for our Eritrean brothers and sisters, they've never had, if they speak up, you always hear people end up passing away. From Isaias Afewerki, what's his name? The singer, a famous singer. There's just so many people.
Abraham.
Abraham. And the thing is like, if they use their voice, something happens to their family, something happens to them. So they're not used to being fighters. They have a dictatorship for over 30 years now. So it's very hard for them to step up and to really go against their own people or their people. So, I mean, it's just important, like, use your energy to fight for the people of Tigray. There's always going to be trolls. There's always going to be people that want to shift your energy and have you stop posting and putting Tigray genocide, so you put your energy towards them. So just take a deep breath, understand, because it's easy to react. Take a deep breath, breathe, and say, at the end of the day, God is always on our side. God is always on the side of the good people, the people that just want to live freely with no problem. And then, unfortunately, it's the people of Tigray, the innocent people of Tigray, that are getting the backlash of this. So my advice for the protests and for the people on the internet, don't become petty. You know, I saw the juntas thing and everyone took it and ran with it and made it like a funny thing. And it's like, we're not here to laugh with you. We're here to fight with our people, and that's it. For the younger generation, like someone said before, do your history and know who your people are. Ask your parents or grandparents. I mean, just anybody that you can. Teachers, there's a lot of teachers around here that lived in Tigray growing up, and that can tell you the history that we have. So yeah, like Sally said, just keep the positivity, take a deep breath. When someone comes at you, we're very emotional right now. So yeah.
So, but you are going to invite her there, right?
Yeah, of course I'm going to invite her. Absolutely.
You can let her know
Hopefully
that.
she's looking at this live now. So
I don't even think she lives here, honestly. I'm like, she probably made her way out when she found out Denver's little Tigray, you know, so.
Well, he's actually doing
so.
that in Addis himself. You know, he's not using the Arat Kilo. He's supposed to be using the presidential palaces. So he's shifting 3 hotels per night because he's scared to death, like piece of crap. But anyway, if she comes we can let her know that Getachew Reda is making things happen. So if she wants to get like a share of that 10 billion or million, whatever bird that he's trying to award to the people who can tip him where Getachew Reda and our leaders are, well, we're going to spin around and use that money and say hell of you. Tagars don't snitch on Tagars. That's not what we are. We're strong people. I want to jump in, Mengestab. I know you've been patiently waiting. I'm going to have Sednai like after that, but let's stay on the current situation that we're dealing with. I know we have a lot of beautiful history that we want to cover, but I realize that we we are, emphasizing about tomorrow's protest, what brought us here tonight, how we are united, the positive energy I'm really liking from this young lady. So let's keep it in that path. I was trying to throw some jokes in there about his wife, by the way. Nobody cares. So I'm tossing it back to you.
With all these, the organized protests that we have tomorrow, I would focus on reiterating those statements that some of these international politicians, representing these big organizational bodies. For example, the UN Geneva has confirmed reports of massacres that were committed by the Ethiopian regime. That's actually on record, that the Ethiopian regime is behind the massacres. And the UN is fully aware that they are being blocked into providing humanitarian access to Tigray. So if we can just kind of mention these political figures and repeat their statements and keep our messages towards these people that could actually make a difference, then we could, solve our immediate problem, which is, providing humanitarian relief to our people that are in famine. I think that's our primary fight. That's our battlefield for diasporas. While our Tegaros back home are giving up their lives to protect our sovereignty and make us free. But each day that goes on that we're not able to bring supplies to our people, it's very sad. We need to act. We need to save lives. Just keep our energy positive. Do not engage in trying to persuade fellow Ethiopians that there is no Tigray genocide, there is no war, because by this point they're lost. And we know from history that these atrocities are repeating. What we do, how we decide our future as Tegaros, whether we want a country of our own or not, that time will come. But I think we should focus on tomorrow's protest and mentioning these names so that this coverage, this media coverage, can somehow get to them and keep the international pressure on opening up Ethiopia. Abiy Ahmed, he's gone as low as to shooting at the UN and admitting it. So I don't know what it's gonna take, but at this point, Abiy Ahmed and Isaias are really desperate at this time. If they were willing to shoot at the UN, there must be some really terrible things that they're trying to hide.
So let me pause you there for a sec. Actually, the UN the UN aid worker was shot because they were approaching areas that was mainly patrolled by Eritrean mercenary troops. So they don't want the UN to see the Eritreans because at that time, Ethiopia was continuously denying
that goes against the UN's purpose, which is to have unhindered access and not to pick and choose areas, but the whole entire region. Whether it be the refugee camps that were raided by Isaias's army, or the cities that don't have electricity, who were depending on foreign aid before the war broke out. These people are the ones that need need the relief packages, and It's not something that's distributed by the Ethiopian government or the local government. This is the UN's task to carry. So
Well, except there's no
they're not
government in
supposed to have.
Ethiopia, so that I have to correct you there. There's no government in Ethiopia.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. And so the UN doesn't need a military escort and should not be shot at. I mean, to say the least. So knowing this, the the international community has condemned the regime. They've cut aid. They've advised other nations that are providing military aid to seize that because there are reports of war crimes, massacres, and humanitarian crisis that's unfolding. So the whole world has made these provocative statements, but we haven't seen much action, and that's really what's needed right now. So if we can
Which is
somehow channel that and make that and highlight that in our protests, then that would be nice. Like actually, one thing that's kind of relevant, but I don't know if it's in Australia, but they lined up these body bag props on the field just to give a picture. I don't know if someone else can elaborate on what they did, but that was really telling, and I thought that was really nice. So if you come up with creative ways to, because your protest is going to be aired, it's going to meet, it's going to reach thousands of eyes all across the world. So whatever you can come up with, just go for it.
so Senai, like obviously we've been covering a lot. I think it's amazing, like the fact that we are voicing all together, even though we're going to be holding rallies every city around most cities around the world. Let's just say that we have some cities that are still working. I think I want to highlight that we actually have successfully done a lot of great things that we've never done before. We have had enough actually politicians in Europe condemning what's happening in Ethiopia and Tigray, obviously that is, and in the U.S. we already have 2 senators in Washington D.C. that have actually introduced resolution. We have actually some of our own senators within our own home state that we have reached out and that have actually agreed to support that resolution. Senator Booker of New Jersey, who's an African American, released a statement. So we have actually a lot of U.S. lawmakers actually are waking up. So I think the point here that I want to make is that we want to keep that momentum going. I know that we are really unhappy and terrorized because people are losing their life, just as you stated. I mean, every day that goes by is every day that we lose in like innocent civilians. So it feels and seems like this is going to go on forever. But whatever is going to take for us, we cannot lose sight of the momentum that we have going, and we're going to show the world tomorrow that our flag, our people matter. And let's make sure that we remind our protesters, bring the Tigray flag out, bring the flag out and show and shine it and show it to them. I know I got to keep it positive, but you know what? If there are Amharas out there that have a good heart, I want you to come out and show that good heart. Come. We're not going to fight you. Promise you. I'll be in Portland, Oregon tomorrow. I'll be airing some of this stuff live. I will promise you, my community, our community will not fight you. We will embrace you. We'll welcome you. So if you have that pure heart, that is not cold heart, come on out. Join us. If you're in Las Vegas, your Sally will be there with open mind and open heart. If you're in Denver, Sally and Susie will be there. I mean, I can go on and on, right? The list, the cities we have, the Bay Area. We got Ruth representing, right? San Diego, we got it covered. LA, we got it covered. Seattle, we got it covered. Portland, Oregon, we got it covered. I'll be there. Martha will be there. So hey, you all coming out Saturday night. The stage is yours, my brother.
Yeah, so it's funny you said bring our flags, and I think in LA at least we've had about 3 or 4 protests. And the first one, there was obviously a lot of Tigray flags, but we actually had, some Ethiopian flags as well. I think by the third one, they were gone, not a single one. But not to say that it was non-Tegaru who was bringing those flags. It wasn't. it was just like we still felt like, yo, we're Ethiopian, right? We're still with you guys. I mean, this is not like a brother to brother conflict. This is like the unelected government attacking us. And by the most recent protest, like it's not one Ethiopian flag in sight. So that's just something I noticed, and I think that sentiment that we're not Ethiopian is like through and through the community. But in terms of where do you go from here, like the protesting is amazing. Tomorrow's protest being global, I think it's gonna have a major impact. But I think our protests are kind of like our fuel, right? And in between the protests, that's when we're like doing the work. We're doing our Twitter campaigns. All you guys are doing your lives on Instagram, right? Like, we're doing phone banking, calling every Wednesday. There's a phone bank. We're calling officials, mostly congressmen, some senators, and we see, it's working, right? Myself, I've talked to some congressmen who replied back saying like, yeah, we've had like 20 calls, 30 calls. We've already made a statement. Like you said, Cory Booker's co-authoring a thing, and he's a former presidential candidate, so he's got some weight behind his name. And I think so the protest, obviously, that's like top of mind. We're gonna go out there tomorrow. We're gonna kill it. I know everyone in every city. And after that, it's like the main thing that I think, at least for us in LA, we're working on is how do we get our message to non-Habashas, right? Like Habashas, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Sudanese, they know what's going on, right? So how do we get our message to people who don't know? Because, I'll be honest, there's congressmen who we called and they're like, what is that? Where can I read up on that? And this was just a week ago, right? So for us, it's like all consuming, right? But we've got to think for a lot of these, especially maybe some of the more rural politicians in America and in other countries, like they have no idea what's happening, right? They've never heard of Tigray, right? So I think, at least for us in LA, our main focus is how do we get the message out to non-Habashas. So, our meetings a lot of times are brainstorming like different ideas, right? And so, I mean, that's where we're at. And I've seen a lot of cool things. I mean, Twitter campaign that we had, I think January 2nd with the Tigray genocide, and then it's coming up tomorrow, the Stop War on Tigray. Those are having an effect. And so, and I see that globally, we're starting to kind of unite and be a little more coordinated in our efforts, which helps a lot, right? If we're all tweeting, that's something, right? But when we all do it on one day, we saw the effort that I made. We were, top 10 in a lot of countries. So I think that, that's kind of what I want to impart, right? Like, we need to get this message out to people who don't know, people who are not Habesha, people who are not, Ethiopian or whatever. I think if we do that, like, we'll go a long way. And we've been fighting for 60 plus days now. But I mean, I could already feel it from amongst us. Like every day we fight, it's like it's only been a second day, right? Like we're not losing energy. We're not slowing down. If anything, we're like speeding up and getting stronger. So I mean, I pray that it doesn't go on much longer, a day longer. But if it does, we'll be here. We'll keep fighting no matter what.
Well, I will add to your point. I know that I want to give everybody a chance to have a quick voice and quick, follow up on everything that we've been touching, so we can sum it up at some point here. But so platforms, I think we Tegarus, we're not competing against each other. We're working together. So we have Cyber Power of Tigray, which is a platform that we are utilizing right now. This English broadcasting that we have decided to do is exactly for the audience that you just described, Senai. So the people who are not aware of what's happening, we out here speaking. We got it covered, man. We got Tigrinya speakers, we have Amharic speakers, we have English speakers, we have Arabic speakers. Salam alaikum to my Sudanese brothers and sisters. Inshallah for all your help that you're doing to our people. So we have Tigray Media House. We have folks who have platforms online. Africa Insider. Tigray Network Group, Oxamawi. I mean, I can go on and on. So all, Tigray Online, how could I forget that? So many other platforms that we have. When I say so many, not enough. So Tegaru, we have not risen in the past, but right now we are building our own platforms. We are, skilled enough to discuss in any language that we choose. So the English broadcasting that we're working on right now is going to continue. And all of you guys are going to come back again, not once, not twice, but we're going to continue until the world knows that the world understands that this genocide needs to stop now. The United Nations needs to move on with a resolution mandating an independent investigator to go to Tigray and investigate the heinous crime that has been committed on our people. And if they find anyone from our people from Tigray committed any genocide, I want nothing less but justice for the innocent and for the voiceless. So all of you guys are here tonight. You are becoming the voice. You are speaking for the voiceless. Our voices tonight, and to continue until the war ends, until genocide stops. We are the voice. So I want to just keep in mind. I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but I'm gonna jump to Fidel, since you're right next to him. Please jump in, help us out, and then I'm gonna give you guys all a chance. So if we can just throw in ideas, advice that we're just sharing here. This is all about discussions, sharing information, be able to educate our people and to make sure that they know that the unity is the last thing that South Africa and Abiy Ahmed wants to see from us. But we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, I agree, Sanai, that it's great that we have the unity within our community, but we definitely need to do more outreach. And I think some ideas to do that is if you know anybody personally who's got a specific skill or is a certain career, try to message them personally and ask them of a specific request. Collaborate with them and try to get them involved directly. I know somebody who's really great at shooting videos. I've asked him to come to the protest tomorrow to shoot the video, and we're going to collab together on making a project, and then he will then share that with his community, and so on and so forth. So if people who are artists, work on a mural. If you know somebody who's super techie, maybe you guys can build an app together. Whatever you can do to directly kind of not call people out, but make direct requests of people will definitely go a long way. And I think conversations like this are also doing a lot. As far as the protest tomorrow goes, as we try to urge for opening up the humanitarian corridor into Tigray, like Sanai said earlier, and a lot of the time the humanitarian aid doesn't come until after the war is over. And that's because, like you guys have discussed, when UN workers or when aid workers go in, they often get caught in the midst of all of the battles and the bullets. So a big part of gaining access back into Tigray is going to be stopping the war. And unfortunately, the international community, like you said, has put a lot of pressure on Abiy to start this international dialogue, and he has completely shut it off, and he's not allowed for any international conversation or any investigation. So we really got to hit him where it hurts. A big part of our message tomorrow should be, the boycotting of Ethiopian Airlines. We've got to make sure that they understand that, Abiy Ahmed does not care for Tigray lives, but he cares about his money, he cares about his power. So if we hit him there, that's a way that we can get him to finally fall back and realize, okay, this isn't benefiting me anymore. So boycotting Ethiopian Airlines, putting pressure on China, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, India, all of these countries that are financially invested into Ethiopia to pull their money out and to put economic pressure on Ethiopia to stop the war, that might put things into perspective for him, hopefully, and all of the people in power to then fall back and realize that an international conversation needs to happen for peace. And then once that happens, I think then we can feel more comfortable allowing UN workers and aid workers in, and they'll feel more safe and protected in Tigray. When at the moment, unfortunately, like you guys said, it's just not the case. And to an extent, that's kind of what happens when you're an aid worker going into a war zone. I'm sure they're equipped and they're aware of that, but we still need to keep them protected. And I think by, like I said, emphasizing an economic stronghold tomorrow, and specifically requesting specific people and specific entities in certain power, and the people as a whole, civilians, to boycott Ethiopian Airlines and send that message out of putting financial strain on Ethiopia is definitely going to make a difference in the fight.
To kind of piggyback off of what she said, for the protest tomorrow, make sure that the chants are something that people can understand. So if you're going to go in front of your news outlet, CNN, wherever it is, make sure that you are chanting things that they can understand. Eritrean troops, get out of Tigray. And then we had talked about it with the group before we started the live. If you feel comfortable to give a personal story, that is the way we're getting it out in Denver. We've had at our candlelight, we had Dawit Wolde tell his story. and he showed pictures of his family back home, and he was just like, you know, just talking about how important it was for him to talk to his family and what's going on back there, the education of, you know, what our family's actually going through, not the government issue or politics or anything. They want it to be personal. So if you feel comfortable, if you know people that have like their parents or someone firsthand out there, make sure that you guys are getting your teams together. We have different teams here in Denver that are writing to the news outlets saying, hey, we're having this event. Can you please come out? Or just, you know, writing them, can you please share my story? So that the biggest thing is getting your local state to know what's going on first, to educate them, and then it'll become, I think, a nationwide thing. Also, the Tigray genocide that we had hashtag, we were trending for over 24 hours. And that brought a lot of insight too. And then lastly, I would say that your posts like on social media, again, we're getting, as the wars, you know, continuing now over 60 days, I think it's getting harder for people to continue to give articles, and we're just kind of getting aggressive and upset and saying, oh, don't talk to me, don't this. It's like, it's not giving the message. So whatever articles we can find from the refugees, please keep sharing. Tag officials, Cory Booker, Susan Rice, people like that. So yeah.
And just to take it a step further, ways to get involved post protest, get involved in your communities, organize. Again, I don't mean to harp on Denver, but we do like mental health meetups. We're gonna have a second one on Sunday for the youth, you know, just to sit down and kind of check in on each other. We did one with the adults as well on a Zoom call. So these things, these amazing things that we're doing as a community, it may not be publicized, but let's share that. Maybe there's things in Vegas or Cali or Seattle or, you know, Oregon, things out there that you guys are doing that we could do, and vice versa. So let's mobilize, let's organize, and get involved in your community. Like, we're part of the board, which is never in a million years that I think, like, as adults running the community, like they were gonna let the youth in. But we hold positions with the board, and I'm sure you guys can do that too. You just gotta, you know, step to them with a open mind and accept any, you know, ideas that they have and work together. We're stronger together, and the adults need us and we need them.
Right. And to kind of what she said, get involved. I see a big disconnect, talking like different leaders, youth leaders in different states. There's a big disconnect between the elders and the youth. Like she said, we need each other, and don't be afraid to step up and say, hey, you know what? I want to lead this. I want to help out with this. If you have a great idea, share it. Right now, Tigray we need to become more developed. I think every state should have a board. Every state should have a community center. We need to establish ourselves.
On that note, we are actually, so slogan you mentioned, I appreciate that. I will text you guys, and I think some of the leaders in Denver should have it. SJTE has sent out like a specific like slogans actually that we're going to be using, but I love what you just said. We're going to add, you know, short and simple slogans also that Americans would understand what we're saying. So I appreciate that. We do have actually Tigray community open up in Washington, D.C. So the goal, of course, is the Tigray community in Washington, D.C. is going to be our hub that actually is going to support communities across the country, just what you described, Sally. So I appreciate the emphasis that you're talking about. You know, we're young, we're new to a lot of these things that we're working on, but recently we have formed a task force in the Western United States, of course. That is state of Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Denver, you guys are in it, Colorado. Arizona is obviously working on right now, but we got, you know, enough people. So in these communities, actually, we host Zoom meetings every Friday at 7 p.m. And I know it's not really a big deal, but we actually are doing some amazing things. What you're just talking about, our media source team has done an amazing work that you guys will soon see what we have put together. I actually chair that group, which also what you talked about, I've never thought about, oh, what could I do to help my community? They say, you know what, Mike, you help it out a lot. You're going to help us to build this team. And we have amazing people who actually have 20 to 25 years of experience leading Tigray communities throughout the world. We have like diplomats. I mean, we have like doctors and lawyers. I mean, highly intelligent people. All of them. They say one thing in common. We are handing off the trophy to you guys, to the young generation, but we're not going to walk away. We're going to stand side by side. We're going to work with you, and it is powerful. And I will say this last. Some of the mechanism that we're working is in our discussions when we have our meetings, we're going to take care of our agendas in a shorter and clear way than the way it's been done in the past, like 5-6 hours for something you can get done in 1 hour. So time management. Once we get the meeting done, we leave the channel open for open discussion for people to just consult each other, to talk, about just experience, whether it be positive, negative in the end, finish the thoughts and the conversation in a positive way so that we are providing the support that you're just talking about, community-based support at all level. So I love the fact that just how you outlay it. I do, want to give each and every one of you an opportunity, like I was saying. So Yerusalem, Ruth, Martha, I mean, all of you guys, let's just keep rolling this thing real quickly, and then we'll be coming to like an end pretty soon here. I know that we got to get ready for tomorrow morning. It's very late now for particularly Sally and Susie. So I really, really appreciate you guys staying up this late to, just educate our work for our people. They are taking bullets in their heads, or they giving bullets to the enemy to save as many lives as they can. But Eritrean mercenaries and Abiy Ahmed's mercenaries are in Tigray to terrorize our people, and we're not going to let that happen continuously. So I'm going to let Martha jump in, whatever you want to say. We're going to just go. I'm not doing order anymore, so you guys just jump right at it, please.
I have a lot of confidence that tomorrow's protest, like everywhere, is going to be real great. And I really hope everywhere we're going to get coverage, because that's really important. Getting coverage is like what's really important, because if we don't get that, we're just going to be repeating the same things without having anybody like know about what's actually going on. I wanted to add like for our city, Portland, we have a really small Tegaru community, but there's other cities as well that have really small communities. And I just want to say, don't feel discouraged, as quality over quantity. So even if we're small, we can still be loud. Another thing I wanted to add is just everybody to try to stay clear with our demands, make them really clear, very loud, because we need to be heard by the world. Also contacting journalists and stuff like that. I personally contacted some Black Lives Matter activists, and I contacted a news outlet, and I really hope that they can come out. But just for future protests as well, just try your best to constantly contact your news. I emailed them, but I called them like multiple times just to make sure, like, I really hope that they're gonna come, So just try to make things clear. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, Ruth, I'm gonna jump right in there, and then we'll just go that route.
And I mean, most of you guys said it all. And the only thing is as well, like some protests that were scheduled were kind of a short notice for some people. So it's just like for those of you around the world who are not actually able to physically be there and, fighting from the streets, you actually can jump in on Twitter. And I think Germany there's a poster I saw that they were doing like a Twitter campaign. So if there's restriction of quarantine in your prospective cities and states, countries, please do hop on Twitter and like tweet. While we're going to be out there, you're going to be at home fighting as well. So I want to emphasize that like you still be part of it, no matter like, if you cannot make it or not. And the other thing is that like, we're all kind of like trying to get organized, try to be accountable, and really like also be transparent in our communication from like, the top level, like, to our local levels as well. And so I think it's a great job like we're doing. And the fact is I'm literally reaching out to people. It's like, hey, do you know how to do this? Do you know, like, I really inspired. I like the way you guys did this. So I want to do it here and better. So it's kind of like that energy. And you guys are just there. You guys had like, my back. And like, I'm just like, I can't wait to see for the future what it has in hold for us. And I would like to conclude it with that.
Thank you. Jerusalem, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think it's really a beautiful, kind of echoing the sentiments you guys said earlier, that we're being interconnected. I'm sure all of you guys have met Tegaru from globally that you never knew before, and communities even nationally. And it's good to see that we're not only connected by ethnicity, but also by purpose. And I think the national protest and global, you can even say, because it's also in Australia, shows our strength and solidarity. And when we organize, we can mobilize and get things really moving. And beyond the protest, and COVID is still a real concern. So for those that don't feel comfortable, there's still ways you can move. I don't think what I'm seeing, and I hope continues, is that people feel like they don't have to necessarily wait for someone else to give them a directive. They can kind of take the initiative in their own hand. In Vegas and other cities, frequent calls to Congress results in closed doors meetings. It's happening, and it's bringing about effective change. And reaching out to some news agencies. I know we reached out for the last Vegas protest. The physical protest, not the virtual one. We reached out to both like print media and television media, and we got coverage in both. And I know right now there is a craziness with the whole transition in the Biden administration, but don't also underestimate the power of creating your own story. Creating snippets of your videos that can, go viral can maybe have the same impact and eyeballs as a news clipping can, especially on social media. And there's just a lot of ways and a lot of resources. And as you guys mentioned before, chances are within your community, there's someone, if you're needing of a talent or help, there's someone in your community. If not, someone part of the global community who's willing to help you, whether that's video editing, checking papers, coordinating tweet campaigns. And it's just, we just have to keep supporting and make people feel comfortable that we're all in this together for a united purpose, and just encourage every one of us to keep it going.
Thank you. So I'm going to jump in right to you, Mengstab, so we can have a quick one more round of like closing statement in English, and then anybody that wants to say something in English. But I want the three of you to have an opportunity. So why don't we just jump with you, Mengstab, and then we'll go to Fidela, and then Senai, and then we'll just reverse right back.
I don't think there's anything that I want to say that hasn't been said already. I'm just happy that you guys showed up today. Hopefully you guys could spread that energy and get your friends, get the rest of the Tegaru youth in your respective cities to show up too. So yeah, spread it. Get all your friends to show up like this.
Thank you. Fidela, go ahead, please.
I'm also looking forward to tomorrow. I'm very excited. I think Marta kind of hit it on the nail when she said to be very clear in what we're saying tomorrow. If you're going to give a speech, make sure that you're fact checking yourself and you're very articulate in what you're asking your community and the international organizations to do. Also, when we're chanting and we're marching through the streets, something that I don't know if you guys are familiar, I'm sure you are, Maaze, she did in Portland that I picked up on that I think will be really helpful is when you have the mic and you're chanting, to just take a few minutes in between the chants to just explain what is going on, because as the Americans are recording from the streets, the chants are great, but they don't give a full picture of what's happening. So just take a full minutes, a couple seconds, really honestly, like 30 seconds to give a very detailed explanation of what's happening, and then go right back to the chants and keep, just keep making sure you're reiterating the details of what's going on. I think will make the message a lot more clear. Again, I'm so proud of us. Really, tomorrow's going to be great. I think with everybody organizing together, it's going to be a lot louder than it ever has been before. And I'm just so excited, honestly. I mean, it's obviously we're disheartened to an extent, but I cannot iterate how proud I am of our community. We're doing really amazing things, and I just want us to keep up this energy as we take the torch from our leaders above us, and they can kind of guide us through. Just keep it up, guys. I really am proud of us.
Tegaru Jagana, rock stars, go ahead. It's you, buddy. Oh, you muted.
I just saying my closing remarks?
Oh, not yet. We're just giving you a chance to make sure to, like, you have a chance to say something, and then we'll do a closing statement.
Yeah, no, I mean, like Mixed-Up said, I don't have anything to say that hasn't been said already. I'm excited. Like, I really am excited, despite all of the sadness and the struggle and the hate and everything that's been going around. Like, I'm excited for us as a community, diaspora and back home. Like, all the organizing, the community organizing, the plans. Like, we're just like building all these grand plans moving forward, right? Like, Denver, you guys are already ahead of us, so you guys might already have these things. But, for example, in LA, it's a smaller community. And actually in Chicago, where I'm originally from, it's a bigger community, but I can't say that it was, we were always kind of part of the Ethiopian community, right? So everything we did was kind of under that umbrella, right? So when I hear all these plans about, financial empowerment, community centers, nonprofits, and all of these things that we're discussing, that we're starting to put in motion, right? Core thing right now is like, stop the war, right? Get help for our people back home. But, after that, like, we're gonna thrive. All this unity that we have, like, we're gonna thrive. So while, and not throwing shade, but, while Ethiopia is dealing with their own, stuff, Tigray is gonna thrive. Tigray will prevail. So, I'm excited. I'm sad, but I'm excited.
And you know what? The fight they're doing back home. Somebody sent me like a clip like early this morning. I won't share it, but I'm gonna, like, for a minute or two. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I'm gonna play something amazing that they're doing back home. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Y'all start dancing right now?
I had to share that with you guys. I'm sorry, it's a long one. I got it this morning. They just actually released it. So
I remember
everything.
that song as a kid.
So they redid it actually. So I mean, I'm not crying seriously, but this, I mean, listening to it, it took me back, like deep back. I mean, so I just like, and I'll send you guys like actually the link of that, but it's deep. You know, everything we say is like on that song. Everything we just say, it's beautiful. I'm so proud of like us as Tegaru. Yes, I'm bragging actually because you know what? Rightfully so. We as Tegaru, we continue to be faithful. We're going to continue to work together. So I'm going to give all of you guys a closing statement. So, Senai, you have a chance to do it both in Tigrinya and English within a couple minutes, if you don't mind, please. It's optional for you. You can do both. You can do one, and then we're just going to go that order. Fadila, you go follow, and then sorry. I hope you guys are looking at the screen the same way I'm looking at it, but go ahead.
So I'll just say really quickly, for anybody from LA who might be watching, we have the protest at 11 a.m. It's at the CNN Los Angeles Bureau building at 6430 West Sunset Boulevard. Looking forward to having everyone there. And in terms of to the people of Tigray, you know, of course, a lot of them don't have the internet. They don't have means of communication, right? So they might not know this, but you know, we are fighting for them every day, right? Like us diaspora, like this is, you know, just because we're not there and just because we're not, you know, actively engaged in what's happening, we are every bit as active over here, fighting alongside, right? Like a world away, but we're still fighting alongside every single one of our people, the TDF, the citizens, everybody. And so all I'll say, only thing I'll say to Tigrinya is Ajakum Hawate, Awasin Tigray. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanai. You know, it's the same sentiment. Tomorrow in Seattle, if you are watching from Seattle, we've got our protest also at 11 a.m. at the Tigray Community Center, 1902 East Yester Way, Unit 3 in Seattle. That's where we'll be meeting, and then we're going to kind of migrate from there. So please bring your flags, bring your posters, bring your voices. You know, we've really got to mobilize. They're counting on us. And to our family back home, بعدنا زلمة شجر حد شكونا أنا كم كرم زسعرنا حجي وين كنت سعرنا you know and أجهم digital way أنا يمتعنا.
That's right. Thank you. Mangustav, I see you. Go ahead.
Yeah, እቶም ኣብ ዓዲ ዘሎ ከማና ኣብዚ ተዝነብሩ ንሕና ኣብ ዓዲ ክሕግዙና ነይሮም. So, you know, just trying to say, you know, this is, you know, they would do the same for us. You know, they wouldn't just leave us stranded. So, you know, yeah. As you can see, the body counts for all the other ethnicities, all the other people, you know, bordering us, it's relatively the same. But I don't see protests going on. I don't see them trying to stop, you know, atrocities. So you know, that's very telling too. But us Tegarus, we care about our people, and let that never change. So keep fighting. They need us. You know, whether they're the ones in Sudan that we could actually reach out to, you know, keep sending supplies, help out, and then the ones that are in Adi, you know, we'll just pray for them, and then just try to pressure the international community to step in, you know, and follow through with their statements. That's it.
Thank you. Your Salim, jump right at it, please.
So the biggest protest will also be tomorrow. It's going to be at 2 p.m. at the Lloyd D. George Federal Courthouse, 333 South Las Vegas Boulevard. And it's going to be followed by a car rally. And just want everyone and Adi no Ayahunaina. We're all collectively fighting for you. We don't see it discerning whether our brothers and sisters are here or over there. I mean, we're physically in the West, but I think our hearts and spirits are back home. And I know collectively we're looking at the millions of people over there, and they're our mothers, our brothers, our sisters, our fathers, and a threat really to our collective existence. So we'll fight for you like you fight for us. We come from a proud legacy, and we intend to protect that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. So for the Bay Area, we'll be at Lake Marriott, and we'll be making our way to the Oakland Town Hall. And 9 a.m. and everybody, we're counting on you, and we're gonna show up, and we're gonna show our impact. And for as well as Tigray, Tigray, we hear you and we see you. We feel your unbearable pain, and we're fighting day and night until justice and peace is served. And I just want to say as well that Ajoho Naina Ham Noyozi to the Nukulusha is you have a number. I am Berkhanan. So I'll end it with that one.
Thank you. Sally, jump right at it, please.
All right, so Denver's protest is tomorrow as well, actually today at 10 a.m., starting from Zeckendorf Plaza Park, and then we're heading to the state capitol. So I just gotta say, as far as people, going to the protest, bring your flags, bring your signs, but most importantly, bring that energy, bring, that pain, that pride, so we can be as loud as possible. And I look forward to seeing everybody else's protest. Make sure you guys post everything, just so afterwards we can watch that over. As far as to my people, Ajahum, Daki Ade, Daki Tigray, Daki Jaganu, this is something we've been through before, but I believe in my soul, in my heart, that we're gonna get through this. We always have and we always will. Like, Tigray will prevail, and I don't use that lightly. I mean it 100%. We will prevail. We'll get through this together as one, and we'll be free, a free country, that is.
So like she said, to piggyback off of Sally, our protest is today. Please be on time. We want to coordinate with everybody else. That's why we're starting at 10 a.m. It's going to be at 601 North Lincoln Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203. Like she said, use all that pain, be as loud as you can, bring your flags. If you guys have chants, please do them in English. If you guys want to do speakers, you guys switch it on up to Tigray, whatever you feel like you need to do to get to give that message to the audience. But again, we just really want it to be in English, be meaningful on the things that we're chanting, so we educate. And to our people, Misahumina, Ajohum, just we're gonna fight for you till the end, till Tigray is free.
Amen. Go ahead, Martha.
Okay, so in Portland, as long we're gonna have our protest as well. It's gonna be at the Pioneer Courthouse Square, 701 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland, Oregon 97204. We're gonna be walking to Pioneer Square and then to the governor's building, so they can hear us. And I just want to also say, we got to be loud. We got to amplify our people's voices. The Tigray people are being put on mute and they're being silenced, and we have to continue to fight for them. So we got to be loud. And yeah.
Thank you, Martha.
Really quick.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Mike. I just want to shout out the other protests that are going on for the people that aren't, for the states that aren't being represented here. If you're in Georgia, their protest is at 10:30 at the CNN Center, 190 Marietta Street, Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia. If you're in Dallas, it starts at 11, and that's going to be at 411 Elm Street, Dallas, Texas. In Ohio, we've got 12 p.m. at Ohio State House, 1 Capitol Square, Columbus, Ohio. I think San Diego, I don't know if that was mentioned, but that is going to be at 10:30 at Waterfront Park, 1600 Pacific Highway. And I think that's about it. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Fidela. So I had some of the list on my phone. I was getting ready to just go off of what you just did. So I appreciate you. So I will add to that Washington, D.C., State Department 2201 C Street, Northwest, Washington, D.C. That is to be held at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I am going to do my closing statement, but I'm going to do it both in Tigrinya and in English. So to all of you guys, I so much appreciate you. I know how many hours we've been at it. Sally, Susie, I know how late it is for you guys. I mean, and all of you, by the way, I'm calling both of you though because it's already morning for you guys. You're gonna take a nap. You're gonna go and you're taking it for the team because our people are, you know, they might not be watching this right now in Tigray because of the Evils Act that he cut down supplies, cut down electricity, internet access, all of those things. But that's what we're fighting for. So I really want to remind you guys and all our people across the world, including our supporters, please have human heart. Just as simple as that. Forget about the hate. Forget about ethnicity, race, all these things. Trust me, I've been Black Lives Matter movement person for a while. I go out protest. You know what? Actually, Martha, I appreciate you reach out to the Portland team. One of my buddy who actually leads the Pacific Northwest, he's just texted me saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a dog watcher for my dog, so I can come up with you tomorrow." So our BLM folks, they're hearing us. So to my Amhara brothers and sisters, if you are really brothers and sisters, show it, because you know what? I got sick and tired of it. I got rid of all my Tigray, my Ethiopian flag shirts and all that stuff. I tossed it right out through my doors, man. I got sick and tired of it. Does that mean that I hate you? No, no, I'm not going to judge you. But if you have the audacity, if you have the heart and the means and the ways, show us. Come with your flag. We'll show up, you know, with our flag, and we're not going to fight you, like I said earlier. So while I thank all of you guys, to all the Tegaru, born and raised in the diaspora, or came to this country, Canada, to Europe, to Australia, that you've gone through as a child, like what I went through during the Derg era. I know how it feels to go hungry, to walk barefoot, to beg for things so that you can survive. You know what? The Sudanese people, I personally know them because I live there. They've been there for me. They're there for our people today. Every time something happens to Tigray, it is the people of Sudan that always there for us. So I want to thank to the Sudanese people who have the human heart. And those very people, by the way, they're a Muslim majority. And the people they host, like me and many others, Christian majority. I didn't say they're not Muslim refugees in Sudan. Hear me out clearly. So to the audience, we appreciate you so much. We want you to be the voice with us. We have people, 2.5 million children are in needs of immediate humanitarian assistance. We want to build this momentum. We have it built. We're working together. But our voice, we are broadcasting in English because we want you to understand what's happening. Our people are being choked for nothing other than being Tigray speaking. This is ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing in the 21st century. I am so disgusted and shamed of the action by Abiy Ahmed, the action by Isaias Afwerki, the action by the United Arab Emirates. This is going to stop. So to those of you who's been tuned in like tonight, I really appreciate you. Dekade, Jagano. ሰለስተ ጊዜ ኩናት ዝርኡ ዘለው ኣያታትና ጅግንነቶም ካብኣቶም ኢና ንምሃር هل خيكون نزيم أكالي هاجر وصيم كمانا عرسم نبغى عرسم كتدليم من بار مخان نيرم كمن الجنرال سمورا دما خيدم نهزوم أبدي سوا خفيدم كبدم كم تنستخلت ما انتهزت أنا سويت مسيلم قمته مخال نيرم يوم كور عين خونن هزبنا يمبركخن تግራይ ተወረርኒ ኢሎም ግን ሳልሳይ ኩናት እዮም ኣትዮም ዘለዉ ኣሕዋትና ኣትዮም ዘለዉ ኩናት ግን ከም ዘይምብርከኸሉ ምልክት ኣይመስለኩም 500,000 ወታደር ናይ ሻዕብያ ወታደር ናይ ኣምሓራ ወታደር ናይ ቤንሻንጉል ወታደር ናይ ሶማሌ ወታደር ናይ ኦገደን ወታደር ኣብ ሱዳን ከይዱ ካሊእ ትረፍ ኣብ ደቡብ ሱዳን ከይዱ 4,000 ወታደር ሃበኒ ኢሉ ኣይተረኸቦን ከንያ ከይዱ حجزن وتادر أي إحنا وتادر يبلان دخاتات هاجر كوينا مدحاني حجزنا وأنا أمريكا خد كحدتها زينا بلن العالم من يزور زلوا نحنا عين اللي من نزلنا هزبنا خورو هزبنا يتقتلوا كم مريتنا وصلنا له قلنا إيرتراويان وتادر بس هزب إيرترا يتبعسنا قربتنا إيرترا ملكهم خمانا وأنكم حدا خمانا يوم سلازيو إيرتراويان زيو نأنا زواردي سرح زلو إلكم زأمنكم نعو مسانا نعو سلام ما صرف قوارو أبي أحمد ما ني إسايا سافورك إن سالس عامة تزوهم تشوكوني قنجتات إرتراويان فقودة بحرتات نابكالي هاجر كوسو مويتو مسترفو كمن نبر هذا رافي أب بحر التشندو عصب ናይ ግመል መሸን ኮይኑ ተጠው ኢሉ ዘሎ ተጠቀምሉ ንጠቀመሉ ሓቢርና ብሓደ ንዑና ባና ናባኹም ክንመጽእ ንኽእል ኢና ተማይትካ ጸገም ይፍትሕ እዩ ብኹይናት ሓይልን ማሪኢኹም ኢኹም ብምሉእ ናይ ሻዕብያ ወታደር መጽዩ ጀነራል ትግራይ ተደኽሊኾም ዝተቐተሉ ኮሮና ቫይረስ ዛቶም ኮሮና ናይ እንታይ ኮሮና ቫይረስ እያ ኣብ ትግራይ ኮሮና ቫይረስ ኮይወቅን ካብ ባይታ ዝወቅልማ መስሪ ናይ ጀግና ትግራዋይ ሓደ ወታደር ን100 بحد ግዜ ዘንበርከኽ ትግራዋይ ከም ዘይበርከኽማ እንድሕር ዘይተማሂርኩም ብዙ ግዜ ጭንቅላት የብልኩም ንኹም ንጭንቅላት ዘይብልኻ አንተ ኢየሩሳሌም ሓፍትና ዘወረተ ነይሩ ዝብኢላ ሃይናና ኣምሓራ ይቅርታ ናብ ወቀሳይ ንተይልና ኢና ግን ኣለው ታሪክ ኣዛብ ጎኒ ጎኒ ዝኸድ ንምንታይ እዮም ስለዘይተኣማምን እዮም أمحارم كم إياه أبي أحمد إسايا سافوركي كم زي تفاقيرهم كم زي بحال السرح ذا اللغة يمسلكم حاسوا وزدلي وجن كم زي سرح لهم سلسة معلتي تجراي كيدنا هذا تجراي وريرنا مريا تجراي وريرنا ني سلطان زحازو أسيرنا ويكثيرنا كم دلنا خن عندنا اللعينا إلى يوم مصري تمو أيجوروا إذا تقرأي ما ما تحشني إذا سلازيو هزمنا تساقي وزن لهم إرتراويان وتادر قدافو بعدهم من بهاجركم من أي تواردوا موجو يتسرعوا نايبنا مغلوي أبدأ تقول حيف الشندو أبغى أن أتخم هاجر سوكيركم ما يتسرعوا قفوا يتسرعوا عندهم زلوا أنسسا شنتشان أو غيركم كنا مهركم كم يجركا 5 سرح قدافو وردان إرتراويان ما وردتنيا ثاي تكونكم سندي من سيت إرتراويان تواجي زموت دم زفسسي بخمزي كوارد بحد سبق إننا قدافو 3% نشعبيا تخافلوا وزن صنعكم تخافلوا وزن لهم حساولوا هزوكم يزود زلوا 30 عامات إرترا كم سنغافور قبر أيلو كم نورث كوريا زب أساس إرترا هاجر أنا عالم هزبا بتميتن بدخنتن زموتو قنجتات مناسي إرتراويان كم 100 شحن لعل خاب إثيوبيا زنورو أبي كم زعتوا يفلتني تسقاي نا هزب تግራይ ጥራይ አይኮነም ህዝብ ትግራይ ህዝብ ኤርትራ ኣብ ትግራይ በሰላም ዝቅመጥ ነበረ በአብይ አህመድ ናብ ኢሳያስ አፈወርቂ ኣብ ሕማቅ መከራ እዩ ዘሎ ኣደታት ተጋሩ ጥራይ አይኮና ዘበኺያ ዘሎ ኣይተውክዮ ኣደታትና ኣይትቕተሉ ህፃውንቲ ቆልዑ ኣይትጋሰሱ ደቂ ኣንስትዮ ኣሕዋትና ፅርየት ብጭንቅላት እዩ ዝመፅእ ሕሰው ኣንፊኹም ሕሰው እዚ ነገር ሰሚዕኹም ግን እስቲ ንዕምፁ ናባና ተሓወሱ ናባና ንዑ ኢና ንብለኩም ዘለና ኢድና ልብና ከፊትና ዘርጊሕና ጨዋታት ኢና ተጋሩ እቲ ዝደለኹሞ ቋንቋ ንረዳእ ኢና ምሳኹም ኣምሓሩ ግን ንሃትኩም ምዕሩፍቲ ኣይኮነን ኣምሓሩ ድልየትን ንትግራይ መጀመርታ ተመሊሶም ዘይሮም ንኣኹም ወጊኦም ዓሰብ ናትና እዩ ኢሎም እስካብ ዝሞቱ ኣምሓሩ ዓሰብ ሲ ናይ ኤርትራ ኣይኮነን እዮም ዝኣምኑ ንሳ የሕማሞም ንሕና ግን ሰላም ኢና እንደሊ ቦታኹም ሒዝኩም ኢኹም ተባሂልና ተፈላለዩና ፀኒሕና ኢና ሕዚ ግን ዝግበር ዘሎ ትግራይ ኤርትራውያን ንኣኻትኩም ዘትኩረሉ ዘለኹ ተረድእዎ ኢሳያስ ናሃቱ ኮራኮር ወታደር ኣብ ትግራይ ከይድኩም ሕረድዎም ንምንታይ ህዝቢ ትግራይ ንኤርትራ ንዘለኣለም ክፀልኦ ንዘለኣለም ክበኣሶ ንምንታይ ከምኣ ገይሩ ስልጣን ክነብር ዝደልዩ ንሕና ግን እዚኡ ኣይንገብሮን ኢና ግን ህዝቢ ትግራይ ብወታደር ነፍሲ ወከፍ ትግራዋይ ድሕሪ ሒዚ ሓይልና ቅልፅምና ብህዝቢ ትግራይ እዩ ህዝቢ ትግራይ ታሪክ ኣለዎ እዩ ዓድዋ ትብሎ ኣምሓሩ ካሊእ ቦታት ናይ ትግራይ ኣክሱም ትብሉ ካሊእ ቦታት እኒሀና እዩ ብዙሕ ደብረ ዳሞ ትብሉ እዝየ ትብሉ ኣብይ ኣሕመድ ድማ ቤተክርስትያን መስጊዳትን እዩ ዘፍርስ ዝውዕል ዘሎ ታሪክ ናይ ትግራይ እዩ ክዕኑ ዝምኩል ዘሎ ምክንያቱ እቲ ተተኺሉ ዘሎ ታሪክ ኣብ ትግራይ ስለ ዝኾነ ሓፍ ኣቢሎም ካብ ትግራይ ንዓዲ ኣምሓራ ንዓዲ ካሊእ ሃገራት ክወስድዎ ስለ ዘይኽእሉ እዩ ስለዚ ዘረባ ኣብዝሕልኩም ዞም ኣሕዋተይ ይቐኒየለይ ንሕና ተጋሩ ማንኛውም ግዜ ዘይናትና ኣይንደልን ናትና ግን ናትና እዩ ካብ ቦታና ውፅልና ካብ መረባና ውፅልና ኣይንደልልና ናይ ዘይናትና ንሕና ግን ብታ ፅፍርና ሰሪሕና ዘጥረይናያ ንብረት 30 ዓመት ብሓደ ግዜ ቃፅልኩም ኣለኹም ኢኹም ንብረትና ግን ክንትከኦ ኢና ንሕና ባዕልና ኣብ ዳያስፖራ ዝኔና ተጋሩ ዝግጅዋት ኢና ድሕሪ ሒዚ እንኳን ሃገር ንክነልምዓ ንህዝብና እንደምንም ጌርና ሒዝም እንተኾነ ፅባሕ እንተኾነ ክንድግፎ ኢና ዝመውት ዘሎ ህዝብና ግን ስለ ዘይንትክኦ ግደፉ ግፍዒ ሕማቅ እዩ ይቐኒየለይ ድሓን ሕደር ኣሕዋት ክብሪ ሃብለይ ነጋሽና ለማዓንቲ መፅኦም ከምዚ ገሮም መናእሰይ ኣብ ኣሜሪካ ኣብ ወስትራን ኣሜሪካ ዝኔና መናእሰይ ተጋሩ ከምዚ ገርና ሓበሬታት ክነመሓላልፈኩም ተለና ኣብ ቀፃሊ ግዜም ዞም መናእሰይ እዚኣቶም እናቕረብኩ ብናይ እንግሊዝኛ ቋንቋና ክነመሓላልፍ ኢና ይቐኒየልና ንገልገለኹም ድሓን ንፍርዱ ንገልገለኹም ድሓን ሕደሩ I will see you guys this weekend hopefully. Thank you so much. Now I'm ending the broadcasting.